Nutrition, the biggest cope there is, huh? I don't think nobody's saying that. Nutrition, the cope of all copes. Let's talk about black pill nutrition. Is nutrition insane cope? Kind of reaction to the rehab rooms review of Godis's black pill video. And basically black pill is accepting nature, attraction, sexual attraction and love is based on your looks. But many guys get very insanely deep into this because many guys are super desperate in today's world. Because the dating, the sexual attraction, the sex, the relationship with the other sex is completely fucked up in today's society for many reasons. Nutrition also plays part of that because nutrition affects your hormones. And the question here is how much nutrition affects and what kind of nutrition affects your development. And this is really the biggest issue rehab room had. And as he himself said, he's not expert or not too interested, don't have any personal experiences really when it comes to nutrition science. Unlike base science, we know everything about nutrition. We even eating raw pork these days. First day eating raw pork fat. Let's get that trichinosis. But yeah, like rehab room himself said, he don't really understand nutrition. But the core part, he does understand that nutrition plays a factor, how well you develop. And the nutrition plays a big role that you can reach your personal potential of attraction, beauty and development. But what he don't really get yet, and Godis's little black pill documentary was not able to convince him, although many of the claims in the documentary are right in the end. But obviously if you don't know much about nutrition and you are very skeptical about raw meat, importance of the raw meat, animal products in general, fat soluble vitamins from the animal products, all that, what the documentary was basically about. If you don't really understand it and you don't understand how detrimental plant-based diets are for your health and for your development, and you don't understand where does the good or bad genetics come from. If you don't understand those things about nutrition, about development of human beings, one documentary ain't gonna probably do it. If you are very skeptical, you need studies, you need study for this or that. And I left a comment there where I basically explained the Japanese thing. He was saying why the Japanese so short, why don't they are so well developed. What about the Inuits and the Eskimos that eat a lot of raw meat up here in the north? And then I was basically saying at the end that just because it's over for you doesn't mean it has to be over for today's kids that are suffering horribly because of bad nutrition, and it doesn't have to be over for the future generations that we can affect with our nutrition choices. So just because you don't have chance to reproduce doesn't mean the message behind the code. This is blackpill documentary, and eating animal-based products a lot, maybe raw meat, is wrong. Because the thing is, these good genetics, they come from nutrition and the environment. Everything is everything. It's not just nutrition, it's the whole environment you live in. But nutrition gives you the building blocks you need to reach your potential and give the next generation, your children and your children's children, the best chance to develop the best they can develop. And when people feed themselves good nutrition, the next generation will always, to my knowledge, develop better than the last one. But if people fuck up this process, we get too much toxicity from the food or the environment, and we don't get enough what we need as human beings in terms of vitamins and minerals from the food or the environment. Again, sun, vitamin D also plays a huge role. If we don't get enough of them, the next generation will be worse. And many of these black pill people get really wrapped up just by the bone structure, like it's not gonna turn super fine, very bad, ugly ass looking people to good looking people if you start eating raw meat. So why even bother studying about this? Why even care about any of this? And I kinda understand. And it is a cope if you say that nutrition can change everything. If you start eating good nutrition when you are 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, like not much is gonna change, bro. Or actually, a lot can change. Like a whole lot can change if we talk about everything. But your looks, your bones, your height, that's not gonna change that much. But the way you feel, the way your skin looks, your hair looks, your teeth look, like you are gonna look a lot healthier than you would if you didn't do those things and you would fuck up. Like you are gonna look a healthier version of yourself, and that is gonna look more beautiful than the uglier version of yourself. But the difference ain't gonna be like massive. It's a small increase. But if you will have offspring, you will get a much healthier, and healthier means better looking also, offspring. And you can give a chance to your offspring to prosper like you couldn't. And many people are saying in the comments also that obviously the pregnancy and even the time before pregnancy for mother and father, but then the pregnancy, childhood and even puberty, this plays the most important role how the human is gonna develop. And because so many parents feed their kids complete garbage these days, they don't reach their potential, and that's why it's over. And yeah, it might be over for you, but if we don't educate people with this knowledge about nutrition, and as well as the whole environment you live in, this includes sun, all the toxicity from all the products modern people use, spending a lot of time in the nature, grounding, being in water, and healthy relationships, getting good relationships, getting a lot of love. And obviously many black pill people don't have this, so they get very angry, hopeless. But that also plays a huge part for your development. Everything is everything. But yeah, if we don't share this knowledge and educate the masses, at least try, things are gonna get worse. One of the big things, rehab, was like, how Goddess can say this, is that soon there will be no attractive people anymore. And that's a big claim. And there's many factors that play into it. But if these agendas that the mainstream science of nutrition is trying to push, then there is really not gonna be any healthy or attractive people soon, in a couple generations. Godis is right about that. If we continue to go with this plant-based agenda, this again comes back to that rehab doesn't understand how destructive and detrimental these plant-based diets can be for human beings. Now myself, I have been 4 years vegan. I have a very good understanding and I've studied the topic, seen thousands of people's results, and it's pretty much always the same results. And the results are terrible for human health, and health affects your attractiveness, your development. And it is even worse if people are put on these plant-based diets as a kid. You're being basically malnourished. So that's the one thing. That rehab don't really grasp yet. And how can you if you haven't looked into nutrition, you don't have any personal experience? And the other one was like if Scarlett Johansson and Brad Pitt has a children, and then Godis says in the video they feed the child only soy milk with cereal, he would grow up looking very ugly, and rehab was like, no. But the thing is, if they would only feed them soy milk and cereal, the child would grow up incredibly diseased. Like he or she would have to have incredible genetics to survive his whole childhood and puberty with only soy milk and cereal. That's how bad that is. Like I don't even know if it's possible for a child to grow up with only soy milk and cereal for years. He would have so much deficiencies. Like his bone structure, his genes would be elite, but the nutrition would be so bad that he would look incredibly sick as a young adult if they would only feed the child soy milk and cereal or the other plant-based foods without any animal-based foods. So obviously Godis likes to do a little bit of, like he puts his message very aggressively. He don't give much nuance in many of his videos. Actually in his paid Telegram videos, he gives a bit more backstory to his thinking and a bit more nuance to many things. And I'm not saying that I agree with all of his thinking, but with nutrition I agree with most of it. And we have been doing this experiment here with raw meat almost a year. No, it's not almost a year, but like 9 months, soon 10 months. And I'm starting to experience myself and understand more and more myself. Many things he talked about and has talked about for years. are actually right. And that's the best way to anybody to understand when it comes to nutrition what is right or wrong is to experiment with themselves. There's a lot of people also in the comments, show me the study, show me the study. Shut up. These people really don't understand that science, a lot of the science is paid. Certain people with certain agendas pay for the majority of the science, but there is also a good science. But when the findings of this kind of science don't match the agendas being pushed on the populations to the masses, these scientists are put out on the side. The results are not broadcasted to the masses like some of the bullshit science. Science is very easily manipulated. Also, there is so little science of things like eating raw meat, what these traditional cultures has been eating. Like so, very little actual science. But when you start to look at it yourself, and even better, you start to experience it yourself, there's not many other options for you to conclude that the animal-based diets and raw meat is extremely health-giving, extremely important for the development of a healthy and the most attractive that your genes can be human being there is. So yeah, but this takes time. The raw meat is so out of the norm. If you have been only hearing, like one of the things in the video Rehab was like, he really doesn't understand that the vegetables and fruits really lack a lot of nutrition. Like they have vitamin C, but not really other vitamins. They have some potassium, magnesium, a little bit of this mineral, that mineral, a little bit of B vitamins maybe. But compared to the animal products, it is so little. It is so little, and these days the soils are so depleted that the nutrition is even more little than it was back 50 years, 100 years ago. Things were way better after World War II, when they started to fertilize the land. That's really when the problem started with the whole farming thing. So it takes time to realize these things with nutrition. Like it took me over a decade to get into this point that I'm right now, and I made a whole bunch of mistakes. I was 4 years vegan. That destroyed so much of my potential, but I've also been able to heal myself, gain some of that potential back. So yeah, what it is, nutrition definitely ain't a cope, insane cope. Nutrition is extremely important, and health in general, which nutrition plays a big factor, is incredibly general to creating a happy and healthy, well-developed human beings. And one of the things he said that people are growing taller and all that, more attractive, but malnutrition obviously plays a big factor. But we also are growing incredibly much weaker, sicker, disease-ridden, mental illness, all that. Like it's not all about attraction. Like these guys only think about jawline, jawbones, cheekbones, hunter eyes, height, but there's so much more into this. It's not just only looks, but I understand why these guys in the blackpill community think about are so obsessed by the looks, because they don't got anything going with the beaches. So their reality is pretty sad, and it makes them hyper focus on all these things that like people didn't have to hyper focus even then 15 years ago at all, because things were way more natural still, even though back then it was already very unnatural. But the things have taken a turn for turn for the worst in a very bad way in the last few years. And this is just the effect on that, this whole black building. Alright, that's about it. Leave some questions if you have some. And thanks for watching. See you on the next one.